Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of MetLife Health Talk Show. This is Nancy Murad, and I'm extremely excited about the second episode, which talks about physical fitness. Thank you guys for joining here. So from Dubai, I have Maria Abihanna, who is the lead clinical dietitian with Right Bite, a regional fitness and wellness company. We'll hear more from Maria about that. From the UK, we have Rachel Monkton joining us. Rachel is the managing director of ClassPass in the Europe region. And last but not least, from Munich, Mr. Yuva Valenin, who is leading the business of the emerging market of the business segment with Garmin. The way I see it is that there are a few things at stake when it comes to our physical fitness at these times. I really think that we do not, by any means, want to replace one epidemic, if you want, with another. Maybe if this will stay for a year with us, how are we ensuring that we don't emerge out of it with chronic diseases that can stay with us even longer than the virus itself? So with that, I like food significantly, I would say. Maria, I'm going to start with you. If you can tell us a little bit more about what you guys do at Right Bite, and maybe before talking about how you're currently working with your customers and patients, what could be some trends you're seeing in these times when it comes to eating and emotional behaviors and all of that?
It's been a very interesting couple of months from that sense, because people's mentality and mindset shifted a lot in the last 2 months. From some people still want to lose weight, and that's always going to be the case, but a lot of people's main concern right now was actually to boost their immunity and to stay strong and to be able to get the right vitamins and minerals that you need to be able to fight any viruses and infections. So most of the requests are mainly coming from boosting immunity kids or for their family. And then the second common trend that we've been seeing a lot is emotional eating has risen a lot. It's always been one of the main problems with a lot of people. But right now, people are eating so much more because of stress and because of boredom. And in Dubai, also because of loneliness, because many people live alone. So emotional eating is a big thing we've been seeing as well. Other trends that are common is it feels like people right now, as long as they manage their food and somewhat maintain their weight, they're okay. So not everyone really wants to lose weight. Like they've got into that mindset that there's a lot going on already, from worrying about the pandemic or being in lockdown or stressing about other things. Like there's so much uncertainty that they don't want to sit and worry about losing weight. And in our case, a lot of our goals at the moment are, okay, let's maintain the weight, and that's an achievement on its own for now, and just prevent any weight gain. So these are sort of some of the common trends that are happening.
People are not aiming for beach body. That's a good insight.
No, not everyone's aiming for the beach body.
That's good, because I feel that, and again, to your point, we can't compare our current lifestyle to our previous lifestyle, right? So I can't be putting pressure on people or on myself or on my, if you want, in our community to have that beach body while people are barely keeping up with their emotional well-being. So that's an extremely, I would say, a good thing to know and to share, and kind of like let people know that you're not alone in that feeling. So tell me a little bit, how do you guys how are you currently seeing your patients? How is this whole session happening with your dietetic sessions and so on?
So since the pandemic, we've had to close down the clinic and we moved everything digitally. And interestingly, actually, it's been working very well. So as well as the clinic, and I think it just took a bit of time for us to get used to it. So the way things have been going on is we're mainly seeing our clients over Zoom. We usually send them like a pre-assessment questionnaire just to get a bit more of a general idea on who they are and what their goals are. And then throughout the consultation, we guide them on how to take their own measurements. So usually we used to do the measurements at the clinic, whether it's the waist circumference, the hips. So we show them how that is done so that it doesn't feel like things are missing. Even on an in-body analysis front, a lot of people, wanted to know their percent body fat and things like that. And we've actually, seen what sort of scales we think would work that are not too expensive, that are readily available, that could be bought on Amazon. And we also, encourage them, if they do want to do that, to get that done. The good thing is also they have access to us through WhatsApp as well. So that wasn't there before. We felt people, just to stay motivated, needed regular check-ins. So it used to be every 3 weeks, and now every week or 2 weeks, if they had a question or something, they were always able to get in touch with us through WhatsApp. And that has changed also.
Very interesting. So it feels like there is this sense of, we always speak, and at MetLife, we've been doing a lot of this work where we try to go increasingly to the member or to the patient at home. It feels that as that trend becomes more important, also I feel like the self-sufficiency trend is becoming there. It's like that sense of survival. Learn it yourself, do it yourself. You will have my support virtually, but there are things that we will have sort of to rely on ourselves to do with the social distancing. But I think the important is that they come back to you and they ask you which type of scale, or maybe they're even asking you about recipes, I would assume, more than ever.
It's true, and that's actually one of the trends that I didn't mention, is that it feels, and in Dubai, it's always been a food delivery market and people order in all the time and we rarely cook at home. But since the pandemic, people more and more are cooking at home, whether it's because they have more time on their hands or they're worried about any food delivery coming in, or it's financial. So there's so many reasons, but the trend of home cooking has really increased. And as a dietitian, I always encourage home cooking because it makes you more mindful of what you eat. So, when you do put in the ingredients and put in the effort to cook, you tend to enjoy your food much more, and you end up also not eating as much somehow.
It's good to see that there is this increasing attention. Like you mentioned, I mean, to be realistic, I think a lot of it is driven by our need for it more than we're always like that, driven as people. We have to be forced to do something, and until we realize it's good, whether from exercise to, learning, to reading, to anything. That's good. So with that, they say, I don't know if you agree with the say that your body is 70% what you eat, 30% of workout. I do believe that workout has even a greater value beyond the weight itself, from whether the mental well-being, whether all the other vital signs of our body, and all the long-term effects that workout has on our body. So with that, let's talk a little bit, Rachel, about what you guys have been seeing, and maybe to explain a little bit what ClassPass is to start with. I'm a ClassPass consumer, big fan at heart. Basically, in a natural or in a previous environment where you can go and subscribe to one gym, ClassPass alternatively allows you to, in one subscription, to have access to multiple gyms. You guys recently I would say early this year, you reached a unicorn status. You have a female founder, Payal. And for those who don't know what unicorn is, it means the company was valued at $1 billion and above. So there is obviously something right that is being done there, and I think for me at least, but I think also from what you guys have seen on the consumer side, is that there was this need for diversity. So people wanted to go to different gyms without necessarily being stuck to one place. You recently entered actually the Middle East market. You had partnerships with gyms in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai. And March 2020 happened. So tell us a little bit more on what was the first thing you guys did to your consumers.
Yeah, so that's right. You explained it well. I am so glad to hear that you're one of our members. I love talking to our members. But yeah, ClassPass offers a subscription to the best gyms and workout classes in thousands of cities globally. And traditionally, we offer our members these classes in person that they can go to. But when COVID hit and mandatory lockdowns spread across the world, we saw over 95% of our partners, studios and gyms were forced to close. And so there was a very fast pivot to digital fitness. And it was actually incredible how fast it happened. Like within the first couple weeks, we had 4,000 partners start to offer online classes. And most of these were not partners who had done that ever before. And they were learning as they went along, like a lot of them on Zoom, trying to figure out the camera placement and the lighting and the sound. And again, we saw a lot of creativity too on just like workout equipment. People don't tend to have everything that you would find at a studio at home. And so they're using like books or soup cans as weights and things like that. But it was incredible to see people shift gears so quickly. And I'm not surprised. Like a lot of people say fitness is one part of their routine, that they, it's the thing that they look forward to every day. It like helps put them in a right like mental headspace. And yes, of course it is part of, sort of like a healthy routine, like when paired with nutrition too. So yes, we saw this big shift towards digital fitness, and at ClassPass, we then did a bunch of work very quickly to make our product suitable for digital. So just some of the examples are, now you can take a class all over the world. And so we were now, instead of just doing a class with a friend in your city, you can do a workout with a friend anywhere. So, me personally, I live in London now, but I used to live in New York, and I can work out again with my friends in New York. It'll be, a lunchtime workout for me and a morning workout for them, but we can do it at the same time and chat after. So at ClassPass, we've done, a couple of changes to our product to adapt to this new world of digital fitness.
I really love this multi-city workout. I think that's one of the beauty elements of virtual, if you want. So today, if we were to maybe summarize a little bit to people who might be interested to jump on board and start. I know there are so many platforms today. You can go on YouTube, or you can do something, anywhere on Instagram. But I also find it very useful to kind of have this, if you want, I do like sometimes to pay for services because it makes me commit to it more. Maybe that's the behavioral economics. It doesn't have to be paid again, but explain to us a little bit, if we go today to the app, what can we find? Are there fees? I think you guys are dividing them between on demand and then live. So there is something I can do irrespective if it's right now or not, right? And then what could be the cost for these exercises?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's two types of digital workouts that we offer. The on-demand is, it's almost more like Netflix. You can play it at any time, and that works for people who really want that flexibility. And then the live stream is exactly what it sounds like. And it more mimics like a fitness class where there's an instructor and it starts at a certain time and there's other people in the class. And again, you can see them and, try to build some of that energy off of each other. Interestingly, we actually see, particularly in the Gulf region, more people are doing the on-demand workouts. I think again, the flexibility sometimes is what wins out over everything. Yeah, I know. I personally like the live stream because I need that. Yeah, like you're saying, that accountability of like, okay, I'm gonna like pay for something and commit, and it's like it's gonna be at 8 a.m. tomorrow, and I'll be there. But we actually see about 60% of the workouts done in the Gulf region are on demand, and that's actually a little bit higher than what we see globally, but just a little bit higher. So in general, there's more desire for on demand. So the way that ClassPass works is we have a number of free workouts. So for on demand, there's free content, and there are some free live streams too. And then there's also like a paid concept for live stream. And all of the money that is spent on live stream, we're actually sending all of that directly to our partners. So like the gyms and studios who are hosting it. Normally we take a commission on the money that's spent on our platform, but for right now, we're actually doing commission free and sending it all to our partners. Many of them are small businesses, and this is just a really tough time for them. You probably hear how it's hard for restaurants and things like that, and exactly the same for gyms or studio partners.
That is fantastic. So I had a question on my mind. I'm thinking from the consumer shoes. So how many people can join those classes in the live sessions? Is there a limit? Is it a limited amount or it's unlimited?
It depends. So some studios will limit it to like 20 people or so that the instructor can, when everyone's camera's on, still like look at you and correct your form and give you feedback. But some of them don't limit. And I've been on a class with, over 100 people on it. And it's fun to see all of the little Zoom squares of everyone doing it all over the world.
Beautiful. So you mentioned something around the future and, this whole digital. So as we probably, the future of work is a big topic, how we're going to evolve into working maybe in a hybrid mode, not necessarily always from work, but certainly increasingly remotely. So I do see some trends here that accompany that. So also being able to work out from home while you're working from home. Here in Dubai, for example, and in the whole Gulf region, there's a whole summer season where it's extremely hot. So also that diversity of being able to, not leave your house or go for a run, but also, kind of have that access online. I do see a lot of beautiful, if you want, evolution into what you mentioned around working out remotely with your friends. So there is really there are really some advantages there. And the question here becomes also on the price. So we saw what e-commerce did to, the price on the consumer side because of more efficiencies. You don't have the goods to store in places. You don't have the shops store for rent. So do you think that could impact the cost of a membership? You don't necessarily have to, but I do see that it could potentially reduce cost on gyms in that sense, from a rent perspective, from the number of instructors and the scalability of the whole model that they work with.
Yeah, I think it sort of remains to be seen on how the industry will look in 12 months. I certainly think, like at ClassPass, we want a digital subscription that is really accessible for everyone. So that's why again, the subscription that we're rolling out soon, I would say, is like fairly affordable, and people are, we'd encourage people to spend that amount on themselves. I think as it compares to, and it's about the same price as like one, in-person class at one of these like high-end studios that you'll find. But that being said, I think there's very little that can compare with the experience of going to an in-person class. And so when they're allowed again, I do think we'll see people go back. And again, especially in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, I mentioned this before, but some of the nicest studios that I've ever seen. It's like they're super luxurious. The instructors are awesome. So that experience, some of that you just can't recreate at home. So I do think we'll see people go back, but I think it will be mixed. And to your point, I think the future of working out will mirror the future of work. If people are working at home some days of the week, they're maybe more likely to work out at home those days too. Another thing we've seen actually is interest. We have a corporate program, and we've seen more interest in that from as like HR directors try to offer their employees something that they can do at home during these times. And so our goal is to offer that flexibility. So depending on, what you're doing that day or how comfortable you feel, you going to a workout class or not, you have an option to work out.
Can't agree more. We used to, from an employer's perspective, because we work a lot with the HRs of the region, we used to face some, if you want, attendance challenges. HRs would come to us and say, okay, I would like a session of yoga or Pilates in my office on this day. And what we would see is that people wouldn't necessarily want to attend. One, because of the logistics, like having to shower after that class or feeling uncomfortable working out in general with their colleagues. So I can only imagine what's moving that to a virtual space while you are working from your own home, but still with your colleagues online. So we really encourage, and I think this is something that we will be working with in the next phase with our employers to have them champion these sessions and have that sense of community. Because yes, it's beautiful to definitely have all that online and you can do it with your friends, but I also think the sense of teamwork and community can further be nurtured and nourished by such online exercises. I kind of, I think, read a while back that ClassPass had started these live sessions online before, and then this project went kind of like, it shifted to the side for maybe adoption purposes or so. And then now you can see that it became the mainstream, maybe because of the timing matter. So it is nice to see that sometimes disruptive moments of our history shift things forward towards more options. So us becoming more adoptive, if you want, to more options. So it's not going to be always about online. It's not necessarily going to just be offline, but having that acceptance from people of having these options together is probably also something that I'm personally excited to see and look at in these times. So with that, I really think that, increasingly to your point, Maria, whether it's a gym that I have a brand affinity with on ClassPass, or a direct gym I would like to work out online with, or Instagram, there's so much content today out there and so many ways we can do it, where I feel that the key issue remains, and it's part of our human nature, I would say, is our motivation, right? So this is where companies or missions like Garmin and solutions like Garmin come into place. And I think I'm a strong believer in the data, the personal data, and how that can motivate us to do more. So Yuva, what are you guys doing and seeing in these times? How can someone, first maybe you tell us a little bit more about Garmin as a company, but how can someone leverage a wearable to get more excited and motivated?
Thank you, Nancy. I think end of March and all April, we as a company were faced with a number of requests every day from institutions, research institutions, governmental bodies, and corporate employers and professional sports clubs in terms of how can they continue living a sporty and healthy life as they were before, and then and the data is in the key of that. And obviously, a company that provides something like it's worn all the time, then data is one part of that. And first thing before I go into the fitness side of Garmin, the first questions related to the immunity, as Maria told, sort of how to strengthen the immune system in general. And you know, it's nutrition, it's sleep, it's less stress, it's activity, and all of this is something that a wearable can provide you. So, and as you, Nancy, said, it's very much of Garmin's sort of mission to provide a tool for learning for yourself as an individual to become self-sustaining, and how Garmin is helping people to be self-sustaining in terms of both monitoring their own health and well-being and the fitness level during times like that. And so first of all, our wearables are obviously the products that we sell, different kinds of wearables, and I think in UAE they vary from 400 dirhams to 8,000 dirhams. So there's a big variety of devices from a low entry level devices that a very beginner can wear, and the triathlete, my grandmother, my son, women, men, children, and so forth. So that's the key thing. And we also see how people are using them, that because we have in our watches, we have pre-installed workouts and running coaches that sort of you can use, have a look at how it looks like here, and then have a training calendar from the watch or then from the app. One more thing, that coming back to the immune system a little bit, but the health. There were questions that can Garmin detect coronavirus? So obviously our devices are not medical grade devices, and that's that. But if, for instance, people see that their resting heart rate is elevating rapidly, or the stress level is changing rapidly, then there are sort of symptoms, and you can follow up if you are getting ill or not.
Very interesting. So I think to touch a little bit on this predictive analytics part, because I think it's there are two pieces here, maybe from a predictive analytics, completely medical perspective of coronavirus preventive and screening and diagnosis, and then there's the consumer part on how they can motivate themselves through self-awareness and personal data. I think you're referring to the research that's been happening between Garmin, Duke University, and a few other institutions. So to touch a little bit on that, so particularly I think you're talking about heart rate and body temperature, right? When it comes to what they're exploring right now.
Heart rate, it can be oxygen saturation in the blood. We call it pulse ox. It can be the respiration, so your breathing sequence. And your sleeping habits. Those are typically the ones that researchers want to track if they are doing large population studies, like the Duke University of Stanford or Robert Koch Institute in Germany. So in this kind of a situation where you have a lot of consumer wearables in use from Garmin and from our competitors, so it's a valuable asset for any population health body to maybe try to use that to track how COVID is evolving and such, and get more information about that. So
yeah,
and obviously there's a data security issues that people are concerned with, and we take it very seriously.
So first of all, any insight you guys have? Do you have any insight on the data being published by these studies? Do we know when we could see some results?
I hope that we could see something in September, October to be published, and that's different in every country. So excited to see what comes up.
Looking forward to that. It would be a very interesting space. So that is really good. Also, we see the video that if you are wearing the watch, you can exercise with a coach virtually, and that coach on the watch would help you, I think, it is customized for you in that sense. So there's a lot that can be done there, and that people can have access to right now to further motivate themselves. And I really think motivation is really important.
Maybe one more thing, if I can add. Well, because that you mentioned gadgets several times. Some people like gadgets and want to have always the latest one, and you have.
I know many.
More than 300,000 health and fitness related apps in the major app stores and so on. You all have tested it. So, but what I see here is that the value like a Right Bike or ClassPass is that those are the kinds of I would call partners to Garmin who create the context for a wearable. It's easy just if they have to watch, they are disciplined enough to do that. But sometimes people need either coaching help, physical help, peer help, or services like Right Bike or ClassPass to have a context and further motivation, because we are all different. So I think this is one of the key issues in all of this digital field, that these contexts are interrelated, and that's sort of very exciting to see how digital services like that can be combined.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think we're all you guys are three of us here today. I totally don't think there is any sort of competition there, even if on Garmin people can go and do virtual workouts with coaches. Totally agree with you. I think on the idea of the need for a hybrid mode. So maybe from Maria's perspective, this human element of coaching, right? But then also supported to the member, because you can't necessarily be with a person 24/7. You see them maybe once a month or twice a month. Alternatively, what they can do is leverage digital, which is much more scalable, more personalized. So it's this beauty of having the technology, but also the human element. And it actually reminds me of the discussion of AI and robotics, and will robots replace people? And I think the constant discussion is that it will really always have to be a hybrid approach. No one will replace anyone in that sense. We have maybe decades to go in order to mimic anything related to the human brain, and I don't think ever that if you want, the human relation will be replaced in that sense. So it is so beautiful to see these three pieces coming together. Maria, before maybe we wrap up, or even Rachel, any thoughts that you would like to leave our potentially future people you see on your side, or in general the golf community and the community at large who's watching us?
I feel like what we spoke about mainly now is also about the holistic approach to wellness, which is why we're all here. So it's really not about the food only, and it's not as simple as calories in, calories out. It's about the overall emotional well-being of a person. So this is where you have to look at not just the food, you have to look at the activity level, you have to look at sleep, you have to look at stress levels, you have to look at the biology and the physiology of a person. I mean, now more than ever, we're moving into personalized nutrition, and we're looking at also how our genes affect what we eat and our weight. So and with personalized nutrition, I feel, other than personalized nutrition, we're also looking at all these like Garmin and any other thing to show us basically people's behavior so that we can actually impact change. So I feel like, when it comes to health, it's so complex that really there's so many different things that come into play. And for us as dietitians, our main goal is to actually help a person change behavior, which is one of the hardest things to do. And the best way to do that is to use their data and different tools and whatever, and our human connection with them to be able to make that change.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Can't agree more with you on that. Rachel, any final thoughts from your side, or you?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Maria said. And I think the other thing too that we're trying to encourage everyone is to just be kind to yourself. This is definitely a really hard time. And if all you can do for a workout is, like a 15-minute ab session, that's awesome. Do that. We have really short videos if that's all you have, or if the thought of doing another workout is driving you crazy and you want to go outside and walk, that counts too. And so, this is, truly a very different time than before. And we want to encourage people to, just understand what they are, where they are, and, use the workouts that feel good to them at that moment.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you guys for being today with us, and I really look forward for our next episode, which will be something very similar around leveraging technology, but this time around mental well-being. Thanks guys for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.